Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for our August launch event. I'm Leslie Fall, CEO of Aquifer, and it's such a pleasure to have you with us here today. Before we get started, if you'd like a reference for this webinar, my team is putting a link into the chat for our related website post with the key information from today's material and a guide to finding everything that we're discussing today. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're highlighting our latest Aquifer product releases, designed to support your work as educators and the value you place on intelligent learning for your students. We'll begin with a brief refresher of the Aquifer learning system and how it integrates with your curriculum and workflows, and then introduce new features to help you better plan and individualize your students' data-driven learning for the rest of their course. You'll also see how we're using AI to create more robust virtual patient encounters with personalized, competency-based feedback that's been validated by our Educators Consortium. We'll wrap up with our full panel and time for your questions and feedback. In the meantime, please feel free to submit your questions into the Zoom Q&A session at any time, and my team will either respond directly in real time or ensure that we cover them during the Q&A session at the end. I want to begin by reiterating that Aquifer is an intentionally designed, integrated learning system created by health professions educators like you, and not merely a collection of cases packaged into courses with associated assessments like Calibrate. As we introduce our latest releases today, we'll walk you through this educational journey and show you how we're continuously optimizing it for you based on your feedback, from building and implementing courses and content to meet your teaching and student learning goals, to monitoring and assessing how your students are progressing and performing, and gaining valuable insights from that data for further improvements in their learning. Today, we'll begin with the planning and course building stage, discussing our recent releases to assist you in this first important step. Then we'll turn our attention to talking about dashboards and reporting improvements we've made to help you analyze and gain valuable insights from the results of your students' Aquifer progress and their assessment performance. We know that assessment drives learning and is becoming increasingly important in educational planning, enabling you to individualize learning for each student, course, and your program. We want to make sure that we make this as easy for you as possible within all of your Aquifer courses. We'll wrap up with an exciting demonstration to support what we're all working to accomplish, helping students learn more efficiently and effectively, and maybe enjoy it a bit more in the process. So with that, let's start with course planning. Whether based on curriculum development, student assessment data, or years of your experience, determining what students need to learn and how is the key to their success. Thoughtfully building out a course is the first best way to maximize your use of the Aquifer platform, both to support your students by creating assignments and to provide you with the most relevant data about their progress, and, if needed, to remediate them as well. Leveraging our AI assistant, content library, and new course builder can all assist you with this step. With that, it's my pleasure right now to introduce you to Amy Landwehr, one of our product managers, who's here to talk to you a bit more about our recent releases related to the planning stage. Amy?
Thank you, Leslie. Students value Aquifer most when educators use the system to actively plan and manage coursework. We've listened to your feedback and made improvements to streamline this process. Our new AI assistant, which you can now find on your educator landing page, offers enhanced curriculum search capabilities to maximize Aquifer's impact in your program. With course content goals in mind, you can now search by case titles, synopses, learning objectives, and teaching points, allowing for more targeted results to build courses specific to your curricular needs. Once you've identified your cases, adding them to the selection basket from the content library allows you to create a course tailored to your students' needs. And creating courses in Aqueduct just got easier with our updated Course Builder tool. As you consider what content you'd like to assign and when, our updated UI makes it simple to see case or script details and set course dates. You can also add additional educators or administrators as course users if they will be teaching alongside you. And educators with the Aqueduct role of course manager or above have access to the course report, making it easy to track student progress. To better understand how much time students in this course will need to spend on the cases you are assigning to them, we've added the total time to completion for all content in your course right at the top of the page, allowing you to more effectively plan integrating Aquifer content into your instruction. After building your course, you can now easily add students individually or in bulk. If you've already created a cohort of students in another Aquifer course or assessment, such as for a previous rotation, you can quickly reuse and adjust that group as needed. To support improved communication, a new feature lets you set automated email notifications for students and educators. The updated course builder allows you to schedule a reminder to all students with outstanding work as the course's end date approaches. You can also set up notifications for educator users added to your course that sends a link to the course report at the midpoint and end date of the course. These course reports showcase completion, time on case, and student summary statements, supporting feedback sessions and accreditation requirements. These reports are available for educator users with the Aqueduct role of course manager or above. Once you've created a course, you can now easily duplicate it using the new duplicate modal, especially helpful for recurring courses like clerkship rotations. You can choose which course details to copy, and after duplication, edit anything as needed, such as dates or course managers. In addition to making the course builder easier to use, we've also added a new feature, an overview of the key diagnoses and topics in the courses you create. The summary of course content shows you, all in one place, the final diagnoses, other conditions taught, clinical excellence topics, and basic sciences topics covered by your course selections, giving you a view of your curricular coverage at a glance. We hope these updates make building courses in Aquifer more efficient and help you get even more value out of the content.
Thank you, Amy. And just a reminder to everyone here today, please remember to put your questions for Amy and the rest of the team in the chat, and we'll be sure to answer them in real time or in the Q&A session. Now, let's turn our attention to looking at recent Aquifer releases that help you and your students better evaluate and gain insights to then plan their future learning beyond. Beyond the immediate feedback that your students receive while working through the cases and building their summary statements with our AI summary statement feedback tool, Calibrate assessments and practice smart quizzes give your students the tools they need to efficiently identify not only gaps in their learning, but also critical malalignments in their certainty and understanding, and then take self-directed action by focusing specifically on cases and content to assess these issues. As a reminder, Calibrate is now included with our geriatrics and OB/GYN course that we launched this last year and will be available for psychiatry coming at the beginning of the next academic year. So, without further ado, Carrie Waters, our assessment product manager, is here to tell you more about some recent upgrades in both Calibrate and Practice Smart assessments. Carrie?
Thank you, Leslie. Okay, so once you've planned and built an Aquifer course and assigned it to your students, the next best step is really to set up your Calibrate assessments. So Calibrate administration is designed to be flexible for your unique formative assessment needs, whether you need a pretest, early or late checkpoints, or a late assessment to help your students prepare for a step exam, EOR, or another final. So back in the spring, we launched a round of optimizations based directly on your feedback. For students, we upgraded the exam experience so they can now see the answer explanations immediately after each question, and that change has been drawing a lot of really positive feedback. Then for faculty, we improved your reporting, making it easier to spot trends and gaps by body system or clinical focus, and what you've really been asking for, giving you visibility on detailed results for individual students so that we can support you in creating remediation plans and coaching your students. Speaking of students' informative assessment, we really want you to be sure your students are taking full advantage of our Practice Smart quizzes, which are included with your subscription. So don't forget to remind them about this feature during your orientation. So this feature is really a response to students' top requests. The Practice Smart question bank lets students create custom quizzes or check their knowledge by taking a quiz after completing a case. Students can also leverage spaced learning and save a quiz to do later. And because Practice Smart is clinically focused and it follows the Calibrate format, which includes a certainty rating, it gives the students really granular feedback and meaningful self-assessment based on your assigned course content or their individualized learning needs, and then links them right back to the specific relevant cases. And because Practice Smart is available on mobile devices, Aquifer Learning is always at their fingertips, whenever, wherever they have time to learn.
Great. Thanks, Carrie. And that's a great overview and a great reminder about our Practice Smart quizzes as well, which we really would love for you to help us by reminding your students to use these during orientation. So as educators, you know that strong curriculum planning comes from access to valuable data that highlights both individual student and your programmatic strengths and areas of relative weakness. Aquifer provides you with powerful and flexible tools to do just that. At a basic level, case use data tracks your students' time on case and case completions, helping you to monitor their progress through the course you've just built. Our recent feature updates that we launched last quarter make it much easier for you to spot students moving a bit too quickly for their effective learning and provide them with some feedback on that as well. At a higher level, though, Calibrate assessments, administered early and late if you choose, provide peer-normed, granular data to track learning and understanding gains over time and guide focused feedback to drive more effective, individualized learning plans and the student's case to-do lists. In addition to enhancing assessments, Carrie and her team have been working diligently to improve your experience analyzing the outputs and trends from the Aquifer courses you build and the content and assessments you assign to your students. So let's hear more about that from Carrie now. Carrie?
Thank you. We know how important it is for you to be able to make data-driven decisions when you're planning your curriculum and supporting your students. And that's why we've added the dashboards and reporting sections to give you the data you need for courses, individual students, and at the institution level for your deans and program leadership. So let's start by taking a look at our brand new educator dashboards, which you can find in the dashboard section of your navigation. So now that you've built out your courses and assessments and your students are out there in the world completing their work, you can come into the Snapshots and Trends card, which provides easy completion monitoring during your clerkship. And it also puts the full value of Aquifer on display across your whole program, with summaries of usage for cases, scripts, quizzes, and Calibrate assessments, exactly the kinds of things your program leadership is looking to understand. Then the content usage log takes a deeper dive into your cases and scripts to help you evaluate engagement on your assignments. So at the end of your course or clerkship, or when you're planning the next academic year, it's easy to see which cases students are most engaged in based on completions and time spent versus the trouble spots where you may want to think about changing up your assignments. And both dashboard cards make it really easy to dive deeper with links to more detailed reports and options to export your data. And as always, access to student data and reports is managed by our system roles and permissions, ensuring that your program has complete control over who can see your students' data. And coming soon, we're not stopping there. The student activity log will provide you with individual student progress and engagement. And if you're using Calibrate, we'll layer in the assessment data as well to easily identify at-risk students or monitor progress right from your dashboard. Okay, now let's circle back to reports. So if we start by clicking on reports in your side navigation, now you'll land on your new customized reporting page, which brings together all the reports across the Aquifer system into one place for your one-stop shop. So for those of you at the program level or anyone who needs to look across multiple courses or clerkships, I want to make sure you know about the new comprehensive performance report that we've just released. First of all, this report breaks down the course silos. It shows all of your students' case progress data in one place. The other important thing here is that you can add data to customize your report template to meet your specific reporting needs. For example, you might need to include final diagnosis or patient age or body system, topics covered by those cases for your program's specific reporting. Now it's easy to set up that reporting template, save it. That way you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you need to run a report for your program leadership or your accrediting body. And if you're using Calibrate, it's like the icing on the cake. You can add performance data to any assessment right alongside the case data in the report, so you have all of your students' work in one place. And this new look and flexible format from that report will soon be available on all of our existing reports as well. So once your course is wrapping up, you need to go in and check progress on assignments. You can go to your course report and customize that view to show the data you need, including any related Calibrate assessments, and then easily export or save. And then with our improved individual student report, which is coming out soon, when it's time for mid-clerkship feedback, or if you're an academic coach, you need an overview of everything a student has done, you'll be able to see it all, including summary statements with answer keys in one place to help you provide better feedback and understand their whole learning journey. And ever since we launched Practice Smart quizzes last year, you all have been asking for access to that data, and I'm here to tell you that it is coming this fall. So these new reports that we're working on will show you student quiz performance at the institution and cohort level to help you better identify trends, gaps, and give you potential solutions for student learning. But we want you to remember that Practice Smart is a safe space for students, so we won't be showing you individual student performance. But Practice Smart reports will provide powerful curricular insights, starting with summarizing student performance at the clinical discipline and body system level, and then drilling down to each learning objective, which of course is linked to an Aquifer case, so that if you do identify a gap, you already have a trusted resource right there to add to your students' assignments. Plus, you'll also be able to see your students' most missed questions. And importantly, these reports will show how your student performance compares to the average for all Aquifer users. Remember, that's the vast majority of US medical schools and a growing number of PA and NP programs. That's going to give you the context you need to understand how your students are performing compared to their peers. So be on the lookout this fall for more information about this report.
Thank you, Carrie. So hopefully everybody here can just see how hard this team has been working to really respond to your needs and to the feedback that you'd like to have us implement based on the reports and dashboards that you'd like to see from us as well. So I do hope it's clear now for you to see how much easier we've made it for you to leverage Aquifer to individualize your curriculum, support your students' learning, and to see how your program and your students are doing. Importantly, as Carrie said, these data are benchmarked against hundreds of other programs like yours and 70,000 active students across our broad system. Frankly, that's data that's hard to find anywhere else outside of the certifying bodies themselves. So last but not least, though, let's turn back to the main reason we're all here doing the good work that we do. Aquifer, as you know, is a mission-driven organization, and along with you, our mission is simple: helping students learn efficiently and effectively to become the best clinicians they can be. Today, we are thrilled to advance this mission by unveiling for you here today our newest teaching and learning feature. This is an AI-driven, interactive case narrative with real-time, individualized student feedback on their clinical data collection skills and competencies. This work importantly builds on our well-received AI summary statement feedback that we launched last year and takes it an important step further, delivering robust virtual precepting at scale, validated by your peers in our Aquifer Consortium and built directly on the Aquifer content that you've always come to trust. With that, I'm truly excited to turn it over to Joe Miller, who's been working directly with our consortium to build out our virtual precepting. Joe, take it away.
Thanks, Leslie. Our traditional virtual cases have been highly effective at teaching students the essential clinical knowledge and interview techniques they need to master. These cases excel at presenting comprehensive patient scenarios and highlighting the important history questions students need to know how to ask. However, we've identified an important opportunity to take student learning even further. While our static cases teach what to ask, we wanted to create experiences where students can practice how to ask, developing the real-time communication skills they'll need with actual patients. The best clinical learning happens when students think on their feet, adapting their approach based on patient responses. Real patients don't present in textbook fashion, and students come to cases with varying levels of experience and confidence. To address this learning gap, we've developed a new prototype that complements our existing case library. Let me introduce you to our first dynamic virtual patient, Mr. Aiken, from one of our geriatrics cases. He's a 75-year-old man presenting to the ED with abdominal pain. Rather than reading a pre-written interview, students now can engage with Mr. Aiken directly, asking questions in their own words, in any order they choose, and adapting their questioning based on his responses. While you may have seen AI virtual patients elsewhere, what makes ours distinctive is that they're built on 20 years of creating realistic clinical cases. Mr. Aiken isn't just a chatbot. He exists within a complete clinical case that includes history, physical examination, differential diagnosis, and management components. The AI patient actor doesn't follow a script. Mr. Aiken has a complete persona. He knows his medical history, his personality, and his concerns about what's happening to him. He responds the way a real patient would, remembering what's already been discussed and staying true to his clinical presentation. Mr. Aiken, in fact, knows the name of his son who's come to the ED with him and his wife. So if you happen to ask him those questions, he'll be able to answer those effectively, which I find really interesting and fun. This elevates clinical reasoning to a much higher level. Students aren't selecting from multiple choice options. They're conducting actual interviews, adapting their approach in real time based on patient responses. Because Mr. Aiken knows his medical history, his answers and behavior are consistent with the rest of the case, which includes much beyond just interviewing. Okay. So, sorry, but my part isn't advancing. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Currently, this feature is available in two cases. It's Geriatrics 15, which is Mr. Aiken, and then Pediatrics 12, which is Mrs. Kelly. And Mrs. Kelly's a really cool patient actor too, because she's the mother of a 10-month-old with a persistent cough. And so she's answering the questions from a mother's perspective. I encourage you to use the course builder mentioned earlier in this presentation to assign these cases to your students. We have additional virtual patient encounters in development across our entire case library coming soon. However, the real power comes after the interview, when the student receives competency-aligned feedback. Our feedback, the feedback that we give them, is what educators say they would want to give their own students. It is grounded in established competencies for effective interviewing. Did they gather necessary information? Did the student follow up appropriately? Did they show empathy? Did they use an effective mix of open and closed questions? It's like having an expert preceptor beside every student, taking detailed notes and providing personalized guidance. The feedback isn't generic. It's specific to how that individual student approached that particular patient. As we continue developing this technology, we're exploring how this detailed feedback could contribute to a more comprehensive understanding of student progress toward clinical competency. What gives us confidence in this approach and what makes Aquifer uniquely positioned to deliver it are two fundamental strengths. First, our virtual patients are created by the Aquifer Consortium. These are clinical educators teaching in programs just like yours. This ensures that our cases include content that's current and aligned with national standards. Second, our feedback isn't generic AI feedback. It's grounded in peer-reviewed research on effective history taking and clinical interviewing. Right now, as Leslie mentioned earlier, we're already delivering feedback through our summary statement, which includes over 400,000 instances of personalized feedback annually. And this makes us feel more confident in developing feedback that can genuinely help students learn. In short, we're not starting from scratch. We're building on a foundation educators have trusted for over 2 decades. We're just making it more interactive and, as you can imagine, significantly more powerful for developing clinical reasoning skills. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Leslie to tie this all together.
Wonderful, Joe. Thank you so much. And just a reminder, these 2 cases represent our beta rollout, and we are hard at work in our consortium to deliver this quality of experience in all of our Aquifer cases and more. I'm sure you all can begin to imagine the implications for your training and assessment program resources in the future with these trusted capabilities available at scale through Aquifer. We are very excited to bring them to you very soon. I'll conclude today by highlighting how our newest releases strengthen Aquifer as a full clinical learning system for you and meeting your needs throughout the educational cycle. You can now plan which Aquifer content best fits your course using our AI facilitated preceptor finder, building the content that you want, and then drive the focused formative assessments with Calibrate and Practice Smart quizzes. From there, you can use the data from these assessments to see how your program and your students are progressing toward your curricular goals and identify the cases and content that will best address their gaps and your programmatic gaps as well. And now we're building the future, elevating the Aquifer platform to a trusted, competency-aligned virtual precepting experience. With these virtual patient encounters and personalized AI-driven clinical feedback at scale, your students will gain a richer experience while you gain relief from the resource constraints and system challenges of ensuring that every student receives the best possible clinical education and precepting every day. And with that, I'm proud to turn it over and open it up now to our entire panel. In addition to those who presented today, Amy and Carrie and Joe, I'm also joined by my Chief Learning Officer, Emily Stewart, and my Chief Technology Officer, Matt Rackey, to help answer your questions, moderated by Katie Hammond.
Thanks, Leslie. I'm going to just bring everyone up on gallery so we can all see everyone, including myself. So yeah, I think we have some great questions to start. I'm going to just reiterate what happened was in chat. We are recording this. We will post it on that news post. So go ahead and just capture that at the beginning of the chat that Matt shared. And you'll be able to see that once we get that kind of uploaded and ready to go in the next day or so. And we'll also be sharing out kind of a follow-up with all of you guys that attended here today. So don't worry about that piece. But let's go into the Q&A. We have a question from Amy that says, did I hear Carrie correctly that we can now get Calibrate results for individual students? I'm interested in all the measures I can get to help me predict student success. So Carrie, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, Amy, you can now get detailed Calibrate results for individual students. So within our faculty reporting, you can click in and see the students' red, yellow, green overall progress indicator. And then you can also see the accuracy and certainty for each item, which is linked to learning objective, teaching point, and the related Aquifer case. So really much deeper insights for faculty and coaches in those Calibrate reports.
Thank you so much.
And just a real quick one on there, Katie, I saw a comment in the chat, not in the Q&A, about looking forward to it for the psychiatry, and we are as well. It will be planned for next summer, so July of 2026, which is crazy to say, but we are excited for the full course and Calibrate to be ready then.
Thanks, Emily. We have a question about Practice Smart, and I think this got answered as Carrie continued to talk, but I really want to talk about kind of what students or what you can see as a teacher in a report on Practice Smart and why we kind of want to keep that still a safe space. So Leslie, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of why we're choosing not to show everything in those reports?
Absolutely. So great question. And I think I'm leveraging a little bit of what Amy asked for as well, as we do recognize as educators, especially as assessment is becoming more and more an aspect of our students' learning and more an important component of how we as educators ensure that their success is not just taking care of patients, but also doing well in the assessments that are very important to them. So in order to do that, we have two ways, in addition to the cases and the case progress, which also aligns with those assessments too, is to ensure that you have the calibrate assessments that you know are directly linked to the course content that you're teaching in Aquifer, and giving you the certainty ratings as well as a sense of performance in terms of how well your students are calibrated for and against the type of content you want. Practice Smart for us is a student-driven component of that. So many of you who've been with Aquifer for many years recognize we did have self-assessment questions at the bottom of every single case. Students told us for years it would be great if they really had more agency to leverage those self-assessment questions to help them decide, do they want to do them before the case? Do they want to do them after the case? Do they want to create a quiz? And so we responded to that student request as well. We upgraded it, however, by not only creating a question bank that they can then use that for quizzing, exploring that content across all of our cases to the extent that they'd like to, but also doing it in a way that it actually mirrors Calibrate. So the students are getting some sense in that safe learning space about how they might even do on a Calibrate assessment, much as some of their question banks help them better understand how they'll do on their STEP exams, for example. But we wanted to honor that. We do understand that you'd like to have as much visibility and insight as to how they're doing, but we really do need to honor, again, just as their other question banks do, the fact that they need a place to practice, they need a place to get things right and wrong, and they need a place to drive their learning. However, as Carrie said, we also want to know that you have the data you need kind of in a more summarized way, how to help support your program and also how to support your cohort of students overall. And leveraging the data emerging from their Practice Smart use will help that way as well. So that's why we're really highly encouraging you to encourage your students to do them throughout the course. Talk to them about it at orientation, and we really have doubled down on making sure that they're really easy to use on the mobile devices so that students can, again, as we know, like to do their quizzes when and if they want to between patients or, between lunch hours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Leslie. We did have a question about troubleshooting and adding students to a course. I'm just going to share my screen for 1 second again, just on that new course builder page. So you guys can see right in that shell, you have the option, adding students is right above that. So you guys can see adding inviting students here. So let me go back right up at the top point. So that would be kind of where you're going to find that option. If you're having specific issues that you need to troubleshoot, Joe already put in the chat a link to kind of ask and request a curricular consult, and they can help you with any specifics for your team. But in the meantime, that's the general place that I would go and look for that particular piece. And then we have a question about ARC-PA standards. I'm going to stop sharing this for a second. I know the adoption use team has been doing some work on this. Joe, do you want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Mimi's on the call, but I'm going to speak on her behalf. So Mimi Otten is a member of the adoption and use team, and she's been actively working on this with a team of PA educators to update those ARC-PA standards and send out a new document with that. And I think we're shooting for in the next couple of weeks to have that out. It'll probably come out as a blog post, and you'll receive something through our MailChimp when that comes out.
Awesome. Any other questions? We'll give you guys a second or two to kind of get back in there and ask any last questions.
And I'll just put a plug in there, Katie, while we're waiting for people to do that. Again, I hope everybody today has heard that so many of these improvements that we've been working hard over the last 6 to 12 months really to address have come from your feedback. We're always here, as Joe put in the chat as well. Please remember our curriculum consults are always available. Mimi does a fantastic work with our account managers, the account managers that serve you, to be available for curriculum consults. We get a lot of great feedback that way. We get a lot of great feedback in our national meetings, meeting all of you at the booths. But please don't hesitate to reach out to our team to let us know what's working, what's not working, because we want to show you that we really do listen to that feedback. We want to make this as easy to use for you and to meet your emerging curricular needs. So please don't ever hesitate to send us that feedback. We listen to it every day.
Thanks. And I just recopied Joe's post in there so you guys can grab that Calendly link to set up a meeting with our team. And I also put in the post Matt put in at the beginning with our summer launch link. So if you have any questions about that, we will post the recording there. We will follow up with all of you guys that were here or even registered today, and you'll be able to see that piece. It looks like we don't have any additional questions. Any final thing from Leslie before I sign off, Steph?
No, but please just continue to look forward to our virtual patient and virtual precepting experiences. It's what we're hard at work this year, and we're very much looking forward to your students and your feedback on that as well.